Okay, welcome everyone to tonight this time's Club Excellence workshop. And tonight you're in a treat. We'll cover corporate club blues that our speaker here today, Andy Hernandez, has been master for 15 years. And currently he is a member of Stagecoach Speakers and Evening Stars, the two clubs. So in addition, actually, Andy, soon after he became a member, in 4 years, he became very active in the district. He was the air director in 2013, then the division director 2014. 2015, he became the club growth director. And during the time he was a top awarded the 2014 Division District of the Year and 2015 Toastmasters International Excellence of Marketing. So more recently, I think Andy took a 6-year break, and then now he headed back, being the lead the Reliament Committee in 2021 and was the District Leadership Committee chair in 2022. So this year, we're so fortunate to have him as really the district club growth team and serving the corporate club chair. But tonight, you'll hear from the chair on how to really revive or bring much more life to sometimes maybe a slow club growth in a corporate club. With that, Andy, the stage is yours.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Joy. And thank you, everybody, for taking your valuable time. And I know in some cases it's dinner time. So if you do have dinner in front of you, feel free to eat. I don't want to be the reason why you can't enjoy your Thursday night dinner. So as Joy made mention before, yes, I am this year's corporate club chair. I'm really excited. I'm really re-energized to getting back into what I call the groove in being a help to Toastmasters and to District 4 as well. And Joy had also made mention that when I joined Toastmasters, I joined in 2009, in October 2009. But it was a month before that. That's when I got invited to my first ever open house for Stagecoach speakers. And the way I was invited, because I also had relocated from Milwaukee to San Francisco, because when I was working at Wells Fargo, they transferred out here to the Bay Area. So at that time, when I got asked, hey, do you want to come check out Toastmasters? Hey, we got pizza, and because you're new here, hey, you can meet some more team members from Wells Fargo. And I said, hey, why the heck not? And so I joined roughly a few weeks later. That was in October, and here we are because of it was pizza. I believe, if I can remember correctly, it was pizza, and I believe it was pierogies. Those were the two treats that they had at the open house that I was at. And so here I am as a Toastmaster, and definitely feel very fortunate, and I feel like this is one of the best communities I've ever joined, and especially when it comes to personal and professional development. Now, before I go on with today's presentation, I will make sure I can finish well enough in time so that way all of you can get in whether it's your questions, any comments, or any other remarks you would like to share with us regarding corporate clubs or Toastmasters in the workplace. So with that said, and one thing I would like to say, for all of you who are members of corporate clubs here, here's hope that you can recruit the next Toastmaster like me, because I was drawn into the food and to the networking. All right. So let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. All right. So with that said, we're here today to talk about solving what we call the corporate club blues. Now, before we can get into that messaging about the corporate club blues, so based on the cost effectiveness of Toastmasters, and regardless of how our economy is doing, this is a statement that I will truly believe in, is that Toastmasters is a tremendous value for companies and its employees. Yet, we have company clubs that do, without pulling any punches, they struggle with membership for many reasons. Those reasons can go on and on and on. So on the surface, this is why the corporate club blues definitely exists. And now when we go really undercover or under the hood, why the blues? And let me see what here. Just 1 second. Okay. So sorry for that little interruption there. So why the blues? Well, when it comes to the time when clubs do charter at a corporate club, there's definitely lots of fanfare that is surrounded with it. Company leaders are elated for their employees to get communication and leadership training in-house, hands-on, and very cost-effective. Employees, they're definitely eager to take advantage of this tremendous opportunity to have a weekly or bi-weekly hands-on opportunity to hone, develop, and sharpen all of their communication and leadership skills and other soft skills you pick up along the way. And that's a lot of great energy, and there's a lot of momentum to that. But the reality is the momentum is naturally hard to sustain. So thus, sooner or later, within those natural changes at a company, changes will happen. And if a club cannot adapt to that, well, unfortunately, membership does decline. Now, as for the other changes, or I shouldn't say other changes, what changes actually do happen at a club or at the company that actually will affect the Toastmasters Club as a result in the workplace? Well, employee turnover, the 3 types of employee turnover that happens naturally at a company, I think it's pretty much self-explanatory what effect that does have on a Toastmasters Club. Now, as for the other type of changes I listed here, now these were the 3 that I had experienced when I was a district leader for District 4, and I'll go through some of these briefly, so that way you could think of something similar that may have happened that you have experienced yourself, or maybe you've read about or heard about. So first, the business priorities. There was one club. It was at an architecture firm where we had a speech evaluator. In the middle of the meeting, he actually got pulled by 2 managers because they needed him at that time for a client meeting. And so, as an example of a business priority, that was my example of seeing that, hey, business priorities take precedent over Toastmasters, and that's just the way it happens. If business priorities does take precedent, a lot of times it will. That's something a club has to weather. Relocation. When I was a division director, and I was a division director in Division E in San Francisco, we actually had a club that moved from the downtown area down to the China Basin area. It was the club that was named Toastmasters for Health. They were actually based out of UCSF. They had a small office space in downtown, but they wound up having to relocate at their new campus. That's down in China Basin, and I actually want to be in a positive. But sometimes relocation isn't the best thing that can happen. So think of what other scenarios could happen. And then meeting setup. Believe it or not, when I was area director, there was a club that actually opened up another office. And so what they had to do is that we had to actually do video conferencing. And this was back in 2012 and 2015. And it was still, at least for me, it was still somewhat novel to have multiple locations doing doing multi-location meetings, or so you're doing it over video. So sometimes those things can have an effect on the overall quality of a club meeting, and we saw it during COVID. We saw ones that were all in person, and it became online, and then some of them became hybrid, and a few others went back to in person. So you can see sort of the domino effects there. Yeah, but the point is that no matter how well the corporate club is doing, clubs need to take preventative steps to be able to adapt to these changes. Thus, we go to the next slide. Well, how are you going to solve the blues, the corporate club blues, and sing another tune? Well, there's a couple things that we have to do for corporate clubs to sort of weather the storms against the changes, and it's these three things. It's you got to have solid meetings, you got to sell Toastmasters, and you got to recommit to Toastmasters. And those three all have to go hand in hand. Now, there's two what I would call prerequisites in order to be able to do these three things to solve the blues, to do it even more effectively. And those two prerequisites are use corporate language versus Toastmasters lingo when you're talking to non-Toastmasters. And that's actually going to be our next slide. And then afterwards, we'll talk this on another slide, is you actually have to have support from all levels of the organization, including the members within the club. So I want to let that sink in here for just a few seconds. I want to take a drink here. All right, so let's go into the first prerequisite I mentioned, is using of corporate language versus Toastmasters lingo. So the 5 here that I list, these are terms that we want to use with non-Toastmasters, so we can help articulate what are those important aspects of the overall Toastmasters program, and the program, the organization, how we operate, and how we benefit from Toastmasters. So the first thing when I list here is we want to call these Toastmasters meetings, we don't want to call them sessions, because let's be honest, I mean, workers, we don't want to be in another meeting. So if we call a Toastmasters meeting, if we say it as a meeting to non-Toastmasters, chances are they may feel a little bit, I would say, lukewarm about having to attend another meeting. So whenever a Toastmasters club gets together within a company, use a word like session, or yeah, the session is the best one to go with here. The second one and the third, I communicate these, or I think of these in the same vein: participant and training program. So you want to call the folks who are in Toastmasters at a company, they're participating, or they're participants, and they're actually going through the training program. And so when you see the words member and club, it just makes it sound like it might be exclusive. It might sound a little cliquey. You want to make sure it makes it sound more inviting or more inclusive, because overall, that's what Toastmasters is. It's a very inclusive, it's a very open environment. Everyone is welcome to join. So participant and training program, to me, elicits that feeling of, hey, it's open to everybody. Leaders versus officers. I mean, indeed, club officers are, at the end of the day, they're leading an initiative. They're leading the program in the company, and the one thing we want to make note of here is Toastmasters themselves. They have actually adopted some of this with some of the district leader titles. If so, for those here in the meeting, we know that, as an example, the district governor, they're now the district director, right? And it's so on and so forth. So this here, leaders, we want to call our club officers, they're definitely more leaders. And lastly, a presentation versus a speech. So in the Toastmasters Club, we're giving a speech within those sessions. But if you want to call a meeting for today, yeah, that's totally fine. However, whenever you are in a work meeting, whether it's a normal meeting, a conference, et cetera, when do you actually hear somebody say somebody's giving a sales speech? I would say more than likely not. It's definitely a presentation. So when you talk of Toastmasters to non-Toastmasters, you want to say you get the chance to give presentations and sharpen your presentation skills. Now the last thing to consider here is, depending on the specific company we're talking about or the industry, there may be some further terms or more specific terms again that may be applying to that company or industry. You know, as an example, at my wife's company, I know this is somewhat of an apples to oranges comparison, but I want to give you the thoughts here. The head of HR, they call that title the VP of People, and then somebody on this, and then we have one person, or they have one person on the sales team. They call them instead of head of sales or director of sales, they call them the head of partnerships. So those are examples of, you know, if there are further terms or lingo in that specific company or industry, definitely you want to make sure you want to adapt to that. So the second prerequisite here is the support from all levels. Now, the two types of support that we want to get here is from the company leadership and from its current members. Now, as far as we'll go on the company leadership first. With executives, now whether you can get support from the CEO or anyone for the C-suite, it doesn't necessarily have to be direct. It could even be implicit. If the support is either direct or implicit or all, that can be very, very powerful and very, very beneficial for Toastmasters to exist at that company. And then the other two leaders within the company, senior leaders, middle managers, and then the professionals from the training and development. Sometimes they're an arm of HR. Sometimes they have their own major department within a company. Those are the folks that can help encourage participation in Toastmasters. They can help prioritize, making sure that it's part of your learning and development. And then also they can maybe help create some sort of a program track to making sure that the people who are participating or who want to participate, they have something that can help track and prioritize their progress. Now, as far as support from the club leaders go, well, the leaders have to be on board no matter what. Okay, the club officers or the leaders, they sign up or they got elected to their respective office or position. And then also what I like to call spark plugs. You're gonna most likely you could have one or two members who might not necessarily be a current club officer, but they like to help. They like to help execute, and they like to help spread the positive word of Toastmasters. So make sure you can leverage them because they can help execute on the Toastmasters mission within the company. So those are the two prerequisites before you can start helping solve for the corporate club blues. Now I'll take just a couple seconds here, so because as you can hear my throat drying up here. All right. So first, club meetings. This is where I was saying before, you have to make sure that every single club meeting that a Toastmasters club, especially in a corporate environment, that's got to happen. So when we say always meet, and I think she's on here today, past district director Aubrey Carrier. She reminded me of a statement: whether you have 2 people or 20 people, always conduct the meeting. And this is where it's important here, because if you can have a meeting or a session, you can always make it productive in one manner or another. The second thing when it comes to club meetings is you want to commit to have them being high quality. So what do I mean by high quality? Well, what I mean here is have a full agenda, have prepared speeches, and the other thing that I feel that's very important here, and I hope you agree with me on this, is you start on time and you end on time. And when you can do those things, and when all those things can be accomplished per meeting, people will take notice, whether right away or down the road. And when you can have a Toastmasters club or an organization within a company that's high quality, that can help sell itself. And then lastly, it's good once in a while to mix it up, because you got to have some variability for the current members, because if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, yeah, it can get stale after a while. Now, don't get me wrong. You have to commit to members who do want to give speeches, who want to do certain roles. You want to make sure that you can help them fill that commitment, but take that time once in a while, whether it's, and I'm just pulling the number out of the thin air here. So if you, between, say, every 6 to 8 weeks, have a special meeting where you have, say, you have a guest speaker that might be very popular amongst the company. Have them talk, and especially if they can talk up Toastmasters, that's even better. And if you need some ideas on what you can do to mix it up with your meetings, certainly talk to one of us here within the District for Leadership. Talk to your area director. They'll definitely have some ideas and some access to ways to do exactly that. All right. So the second thing we have to do to help resolve the blues is you gotta always selling Toastmasters at the company. So there's four ways that I find most effective in selling Toastmasters at your company. So the first being is you always advertise the program, the sessions, or if you want to say meeting, that's totally fine. You want to always advertise it with all of the channels that you have available, whether it's the company intranet, the business communication platforms, email, all the way. If you want to go old school, printed flyers. You want to always be in the eyes and the ears of everyone in that company that say, "Hey, we're meeting Tuesdays at noon in the first floor conference room." Got to make sure that it's always persistent, and you want to make sure your presence is persistent. And then eventually, the more you can sell, people will come over time. Now, the second here is an open house. Now, in an open house, what that is that you introduce what Toastmasters is to people who aren't familiar with it. Now, obviously, guests are always welcome to come to any meeting, but you want to dedicate one meeting, and like I alluded to a few minutes ago, try to do that every 6 to 8 weeks, so that way you can have a session or meeting that is dedicated to introducing exactly what Toastmasters is. And the other thing to do here, I put in here different from normal, because you want to take it a step up from what's typically offered at a typical Toastmasters session. So, for example, if you always have snacks and water being served at the meetings, hey, that's the time to step it up. Serve some hot food, like that pizza that I was talking about earlier. Do that at the open house. Serve some different kind of drinks other than water. Take it a little step up, because that's how you that's how you attract more and more guests. So the third thing I want to talk about here is the showcase of progress of learning and skills. So what does that mean in depth? Well, in Toastmasters, you're going to give enough speeches. You're going to give enough presentations. So if a member is feeling comfortable about giving a presentation at any company meeting, that's their time to do it, because that's the point of joining Toastmasters. And some other ways of showcasing progress is, giving solicited feedback for somebody else's presentation or a process. And the other thing that actually makes a difference for me is is have that person host a meeting, that Toastmaster. If that Toastmaster can run a meeting effectively where, again, it starts on time, you hit all the agenda items, everything's talked about accordingly, and you end on time, it goes a long way of showing how much of a leader you can be in meetings. And then lastly, announcing individual and club success. So take that time that's another way of showing that how valuable Toastmasters can be. So in HR reviews, as an example, make sure you share what accomplishments a member did in Pathways, or all the soft skills that were gained through the certain projects, the meeting roles, and the club leadership roles. Also, another great example, in the newsletters, the internal press releases. Say for example, if somebody got a promotion, or they did a job change, make sure it's noted that, hey, they whatever skills that they had acquired, if it was not acquired in their previous job, maybe they acquired some of those transferable or soft skills within the Toastmasters program. So make note of that for sure when you have that opportunity to do exactly that. All right. So the last thing we talk about here is now you got to commit to the program, committing to Toastmasters. Now, the first thing here, I think this is the most important one, because without the leaders or the club officers, got to attend leadership training. So this is one thing that Pat Johnson, a previous international president, had made mention of, is that because your employees are doing leadership training, they really should attend club leadership or club officer training. Make it mandatory. Second, I already made mention about club meetings. For sure, conduct them all. Now, officer meetings, at minimum, you want to do that once a month. One thing that I have noticed amongst good Toastmasters clubs is that officers get together often, but really more on an informal basis. So when it comes time that they meet, they actually still meet once a month, but it's actually short and sweet, and then they can go on with whatever they want to do. And so to me, that's the most effective way for officers to have a nice camaraderie and nice communication amongst one another. As for the new members, it's really important. I can't stress this enough. Get a mentor, because at least when I joined Toastmasters, there is a lot to take in. There is a lot to digest. So if you can get a mentor, that mentor can help make things be a lot more readable, a lot more manageable. Otherwise, it can feel like that they're more or less drinking out of a fire hose. As for all the members, make sure that you're staying out of the comfort zone when it comes to learning, communication, and leadership, and in accordance or along the way, set SMART goals. So, do we know what SMART goals are? So this is really a quiz for myself, and see if I get thumbs up. So SMART meaning it's specific, it's measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So making sure you can set goals that are making sense for you but at the same time, you are staying out of your comfort zone, because we all know the saying, if you're staying with that inside the comfort zone, then you're not really learning and growing as much as you could as if you were outside the comfort zone. And then lastly here, continue to monitor and communicate the progress. And this excuse me, this applies to both the individual member and the club, because we want to make sure that the club and the individual are achieving, or they're at least on track with their communication and leadership goals. So what does that all mean with the return on investment for both the participants, individuals, and the club? So as you can see here, the return on investment is that, hey, you can achieve incomplete levels and pathways. I made mention of enough about transferable skills, and these last two here, they're also just reminders that you can apply and showcase all the skills that you gain, and also if you're able to take on that next job or get that next promotion, all of those transferable and soft skills you gained within the Toastmasters program, that can help you do exactly that. And then at the club level, now this is another term that you want to use in corporate speak versus Toastmasters speak, is the success factors. Because if you were to mention DCP goals, or I know some people like to say DCP points, that's a no. It's DCP goals. But either way, that's not going to be understandable amongst the non-Toastmaster world. So make mention. Well, how is your club succeeding? How is everyone gaining in their skills? Well, point to the success factors, which is, again, the ultimately it is the DCP plan or DCP goals. And then ultimately, the more engaged and the more achieving Toastmasters you can have in your club, you can start pushing that culture of clear communication and growth amongst everyone in your company. So in summary, assuming that the two prerequisites are there, that they're persistent. Again, it's the support and then selling using the Toastmasters, not using the Toastmasters lingo. You want to use the company lingo. You want to make sure, again, your meetings, they're pretty simple, rock solid. Always sell or always promote, which in turn, because if you do that, you will always bring in guests and hopefully you can convert them to potential members. Member growth and engagement, that's where again, you're making that commitment to the program. And the more people you have committed to the program, then you will have even more control on that membership retention. So when it comes to renewal time, if all your members are committed to their program, most likely they will definitely stay. And then lastly, this was talked about in the last slide, the company return on investment. Hey, and it simply said you get a higher return, you're going to get more support from the company, and they're going to definitely want to keep the Toastmasters Club. Some resources here, I more or less refer to these three for my presentation here. I'll make sure I send these to all of you so that way you have easy access to it. And I am confident, me being an informal leader from District 4, but I speak for all of them. I am very confident that leaders from District 4 Toastmasters are ready to help your company succeed in bringing your membership back up. So with that said, I see that it is 35. Oh, I just turned 36 after an hour. Let's start with our questions.
Yeah.
And also I would also welcome any comments. Also, any other remarks that you want to share, or maybe you have a quick more or less a quick story or some experiences you want to talk about at your company club. So let's go right to it.
Yeah, and since we actually we have such a wonderful small group, we can everyone just speak and we don't need to chat down there. So I'll call for Rachel because Rachel already started to want to book you. So go ahead, Rachel.
Cool.
Yeah, Andy, I was gonna ask you if you would take requests to come and do this exact presentation to our group, because we're experiencing a downturn of membership because a lot of people that I'm finding out joined Toastmasters during COVID because they wanted to connect with folks. And now that COVID is over and all the social events and, work is ramped up in most hospital settings, no one's available. At least that's,
Yeah.
And so I'm having to start all over. I'm a new president as well, but I was VP of Education last year.
Yeah,
But I'm
sure.
really having to start all over with marketing, literally doing event tables at our company where we internally try and recruit membership. Other clubs within the university do this at a certain time of the year. So I'm joining that. And I'm also hosting a quote unquote pizza. Not necessarily a meeting, but more of a meet and greet to draw people to come back to the conference rooms, because right now everybody's gotten so sunken into doing their meetings through Zoom, which you do lose the connection, and also just being in person in front of a live audience, practicing your speeches. Yeah, I would just, if you would be if you would be interested or can come and speak to our group, because I could go back to my team and kind of quote you, but I think it would help me and our officers if we had an additional
Yeah.
person from a higher up position within Toastmasters coming and,
Sure.
giving us support to come back.
Yeah,
'cause
I would.
we're
Yeah, I would be happy to do
experiencing-
that. No, I would be happy to do that. I think the one couple of things that I would like to do with this presentation, there probably have to be a little bit of fine tuning to help have it fit your exact scenario. So that way we
That's
can bring up
fine.
any of the issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So-
I think we'll also benefit from a quick, maybe a quick 15 to 20-minute chat. I estimate on see what those
it
are.
would be great
Yeah.
for them to, because we're so siloed, right? Because we're a private group. We're not,
Yeah.
we don't invite folks, but as a guest speaker, I think this would help motivate folks to be reinterested in the club. So I'm trying to also get former members to come back. So
Well, thanks for sharing, Rachel, and also no, it's appreciate you're definitely, like I made mention in my presentation, you're a spark plug, and can continue doing, for sure continuing to do so. Hopefully you can get one or two that'll take along with you, because once people realize what it can do, it can work wonders. Maybe not in addition to development, it can also help with morale as well. Sometimes corporate clubs represent a great break from the grind. It's a welcoming one. So hopefully sooner or later you continue to do this, and hopefully you're able to help emanate. You're able to help people see exactly that. Thought I saw Aubrey having her hand up. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Andy, for the great presentation. And disclaimer, Andy and I belong to the same corporate club, so he's aware of I think every corporate club has its own strange issues that they have to deal with. What I am looking for is ideas on how to pitch the message and how to hook people. Andy and I were in leadership at the same time, and about 10 years ago, I spoke to prospective members all the time, and my pitch was, you're going to learn how to lead a meeting, you're going to learn spontaneous speaking and constructive feedback, project management skills, time management skills, etc. And it seemed like that really connected with people. And now, I don't know the right message, and maybe it's because now I'm mostly reaching out virtually as opposed to speaking with people, but that's what I'm looking for. What's the right hook?
I think excuse me. Well, I think the right hook. I think I feel like you made one mention of it during your question, Aubrey, is being able to connect face to face with it, because it has been alluded to that sometimes, or it is proven that having that face to face connection is the most effective. So if at at the financial institution, if somebody does, if somebody organizes that opportunity, I forget what they're called there when there's like a bunch of groups that get together in one big room, right? Or maybe just 2 or 3, and then you're able to connect in person there. I mean, that's definitely take advantage of that. That is one. The second one that I would make a suggestion on, and take this back and let me know what you think, and we could talk about this offline. Is I made mention the term open house. Sometimes open house isn't really that inviting of a term, especially to use it in company. So if you were to use a term that is something like a demo or an intro, right? or you have if you do another session where it is something that's very, very different, where if you're able to attract another speaker or some very popular known name, that would be the other hook to get more guests to attend. So that's just, so I mean, I can go on and on the next set of ideas, but those are really the top 3 that I have in my mind
Amy raised her
on how
hand.
to get. All right, so Amy, you had a question?
I did have a question and I've completely forgotten it because I loved that last topic. Oh, I remember now. So it was more of a thought about great. I'm really appreciative of having this group and this topic discuss, and I'm happy that we have these moments. I wonder if anyone would be interested, or if there'd be an opportunity to kind of workshop some of the things that are working well for your club and some of the things that aren't working well, just to kind of share and swap ideas. And or we do most of our meetings virtually. I wonder if and I know we often have our leaders from our district attend our meetings. I wonder if just having other club members, like I would love to invite any of you to come to one of my meetings just to see how they are, and then maybe have a discussion about other clubs. Just wondering if there's a little synergy we can all share with each other to help boost our clubs as a group.
All right, so I was gonna say current or past district leaders, you could definitely go ahead and and chime in here. But the initial idea or or thoughts that I have in my mind is when I talk to somebody who's in a personal I personally talked to somebody at the convention a couple of weeks ago. I was able to talk to him personally about how they're doing this role, because they're filling a similar role, the corporate club chair. They're doing it in District 117, and what they have is that they have what's called a monthly chat and chow, and what they're doing is that they're bouncing off ideas, questions, and concerns on what's working for their club, what isn't, and what's contributing to that outside the club, but still within the company. So I'm starting to think this could be something of benefit for us in District 4, and then having that in tandem with with any of the interested corporate clubs and then their respective area directors or other district leaders that have ties to that club, and we can then we can start bouncing off what are some things I could work for, for company club A, company club B, so on and so forth. So that's initially what's coming to my mind. Now, if there's anyone else, again, current or prior, you can definitely help quickly chime in there. Yeah, let me look and I'm looking in the chat here as well. Yes, so the comment that you're putting there, Amy, try connecting with the HR team. So that definitely puts in that actually emphasizes the support that I was talking about, having support from your training development. Sometimes those folks are within HR, sometimes within their own teams, and for those teams, they can help push potential members towards towards their Toastmasters program. So that's definitely one. And then yeah, Rosalia, I don't know if you wanted to so I just quickly skim what you were saying there. I don't know if you wanted to excuse me, if you wanted to elaborate further on this.
So I was in other presentation that was given by another colleague at Toastmasters, and they had indicated that one way to have new members join, but also up it up a little bit, is to have a gathering or a presentation of the club right after a corporate event. So I'm thinking of a town hall, but it could be something else. If you're in person and you're meeting in person already, and it's possible for you to right after it have a gathering, a presentation, then that would be a good time to do it. It doesn't have to be an official meeting. It can be like Toastmasters members and anybody interested in learning more about it. We're gonna have drinks or a little gathering after the fact, and that may also change the meeting up a little bit, but also entice other people to join and find out what we're all about.
Got it. No, I actually like that. And whether it's informal or formal, I mean, that's definitely another way of trying to connect with more people, because and I know Aubrey had alluded to this, but and Rachel alluded to this as well. We're only meeting virtually, and that's the only way of doing it. If you're able to do exactly that, I love that idea.
And I like to
And
chime
That
in.
speaks
Can I
to me.
make a
That speaks to my
comment?
heart when you're having a mixer after a big business gathering.
Yes, Andy, can I make a comment here?
Go ahead, Henry. How you doing?
Good. I think we have to maintain the integrity of what Toastmasters is all about. And one of the things we offer in Toastmasters is parliamentary procedure. Parliamentary procedure is very important in the business world. So having presentations on things like parliamentary procedure, effective presentations, how to deliver an effective presentation.
Yeah.
It's very important. And I think getting experienced Toastmasters into clubs during lunch hour and make it a social, not just a business. If you can take it out of the business setting and into an area where people are comfortable to mingle and share ideas, I think it is very effective to build a club in a business environment. I have seen it work. I have done it with Dell and other companies, so it is possible.
And if I can quickly share what I thought I heard, at least the top thing that I heard from your mentioning, Henry, is that in the business setting, you got to make sure that folks, that the members or the participants are comfortable about sharing ideas uninhibited. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I totally agree 100%. And I think that's just another, to me, another sell point of the
Yeah.
Toastmasters program.
Yeah, get your executives to come in and give
Yep.
us, show the human side of them.
Exactly. Yep.
It works.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for giving.
100%.
Thank you.
Can I share something?
Go
because
ahead.
I come from a corporate clubs. I've been there for 12 years. And I also, last year was Amy's division director. Amy's club division director, and the year before the area director. So I know her club quite well. And also quickly looked up your club's performance. The club, you have enough members and all that. But my one thing I observe is very few people completed the education system, like the pathway. So my question is, often we have a fear of pushing people. So who are willing to do pathway, do it. But at the same time, I feel people, if they don't get enough, they will back off. They say, why do I spend 1 hour here? So I can tell you what Genentech has been doing, and Gilead, GTOS have been doing, even I left the company. But the point is basically, at the beginning, we let everyone just willy-dooley, whenever you want to, you feel good to, you can give 1 speech a year or 2 speech a year. And then actually later on we say, no, we assign people speeches. And of course, people, you may think everyone will like raise their arm and say no, but actually 90% people say, okay, I'll do it. And they did it. And with time, almost like I feel like the gym, everyone need a buddy to push them. And once they've done it, they will feel the benefit of it. So I feel at a certain time, you have to basically say, you have to do it. They will do it. So I mean, consider testing that out, because I found that worked really well in the corporate environment I work in. Back to you, Andy.
Can I
Yeah,
just
can
say
I-
one thing? Sorry.
Oh
Go
yeah, I'll go to you, Amy, because really quick, Joy made one terrific point about having a partner, and also mentioning the gym. Somebody in my home club had made mention that Toastmasters is pretty much like going to the gym. You gotta have a partner. You gotta have partners that's going to push you, and so that's another way of getting motivated, and you motivating others to achieve that next goal, whether it's excuse me, whether it's pathways or picking up certain transferable skills. It's definitely the best way to go about it. All right, Amy.
So adding on to that, for myself, I selected somebody in the club to kind of be my partner and push me to make sure I got a speech done. And we had a hold on our calendars just randomly Friday at 10 a.m. We didn't necessarily always meet, but we would Slack each other or just check in like, oh, are you working on this? What's your status? So it was a placeholder for us to get that done. And it really did hold me accountable to get something, scheduled, written, practiced, and done. So I think that partnering, whether it's a mentor or just, a buddy for a couple of months, is a really good way to get something done.
Yeah. No, exactly. And thank you for that, Amy. I share similar experience as well at my home club. I have friends from there that I still talk to, and and Aubrey as well. And some of them, it took them a while to finish some work, but hey, I mean, they did it ultimately. They did, but we do have to remember that Toastmasters is ultimately learning at your own pace. You want to motivate them, but you don't want to push or shove too hard. But as long as they're making progress in one form or another, and they're getting something out of it, that's all. Sometimes that's all you can ask for. But eventually they'll get there. All right, I see. There's 1 minute to go. I will say this: if everyone here wants, if you feel like you've gotten all your questions answered, or if there's some things you still want to discuss, I can stick around until everyone is complete or everyone is satisfied. So, Rachel, you have your hand up.
If you could put up the slide with your contact information again, or pop it in the chat?
Yeah, I'll pop it
Whichever.
up. I can do it. Let me do it in the chat here. So
Okay. Thanks.
I'll send it to
That was it.
everybody.
Thank you for coming. And if you think of similar topics will be of interest to club, we can definitely bring out more because this club excellence workshop we offer twice a month, and we still have slots for the other top part of the year from January. So absolutely, yeah. Let Rosalia, the district director, know. We welcome all sort of suggestions.
Hey, you're welcome. And yeah, and it's now 8 o'clock. So you want to do a last call? Any other?
Hey, Amy, we can connect offline to say we can come to visit all that, but definitely you have a great base. Club base just need to a little bit more, but yeah, we'll connect. But thank you. Yeah, that's a great idea. We'll come to visit you. Thank you for your invitation. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, it was a pleasure speaking to every one of you, and wishing lots of success to your corporate clubs. Hey, we're one community
Yes, yes,
at the end of the day, right?
absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.